Last year, Suede and I were out of work for a few months. We couldn't go out and do any investigating. Not because of the pandemic. No, we were renting a house with a circular driveway. We couldn't get out. You know, Trillo, I joined a support group for antisocial people.
Good idea. How is it?
We haven't met yet.
Chippy, why were you eating that very overripe banana?
It wasn't overripe.
Then why was it completely brown?
I was eating it the second time.
Hey, Mr. Trillo, you know, I have an unusual talent.
What's that?
I can look at something one time and I remember it forever.
You have quite a memory.
Yeah, I have a pornographic memory.
Photographic.
That too. You know, I remember the first time I had sex.
With who?
Was there supposed to be somebody else there?
So, Mrs. Levinsky, what do you have to fetch about today?
No, I'm not going to fetch. I'm very happy today.
Very happy.
Yeah.
Oh, that's refreshing. What happened?
Well, you know, I was worried that my son doesn't love me, but he told me that he's in therapy 5 days a week, and the whole time he talks about me.
Hey, Ezra, are you religious?
Well, I just follow one of the 10 Commandments.
Which one?
Thou shalt not admit adultery.
Shmendrik, you know, your married life would be much more tranquil if you always remember that women are always right.
Well, if women are always right, who wins when lesbians argue? Trillo and I were called to investigate a kidnapping.
In broad daylight.
Right in front of his house.
With lots of people around.
Turns out the kid had stayed up all night and was just sleeping.
Shmendrik, what do you like to do these days?
Well, I go to a lot of funerals.
Are so many of your friends dying?
Well, no, not just my friends. I go to everybody's funeral.
Why?
Look, if you don't go to other people's funeral, they won't go to yours. You know, Trillo, sex is great after arguing.
You think so?
Yeah, make-up sex is the best.
So?
So that's lucky for you, because all your sex is made up.
You know, Mrs. Levinsky, you look good for your age.
Well, I never had a sick day in my life.
You've never been bedridden even once?
Sure, many times. A few times in a haystack.
Mr. Trillo, I wrote a children's book about a monkey who's always angry.
What's it called?
Furious George.
So, Trillo, you gotta show me how to change my message on my answering machine.
Change your message? Well, it's not an answering machine anymore. It's all digital.
What?
I'll explain later. Anyway, you want to change your outgoing message. What do you want to say?
I want to say this. Hello, this is Mrs. Levinsky. If you're calling to ask how I'm feeling, you have the wrong number, because nobody cares how I feel. But don't worry, I'll just put my head in the oven.
Trillo and I were following a suspect down a dark alley in the Hell's Kitchen section of New York City when two guys jumped out of the shadows and began to beat the suspect up.
We couldn't just stand there, so we decided to help.
He didn't stand a chance against the four of us.
I went to the bagel store this morning to get some bagels and whitefish, and on the way there was a guy asking for money on the street, you know, panhandling.
Panhandling?
Yeah. And he said, lady, I haven't eaten for 3 days. I said, force yourself.
Shmendrik, did you ever go to a psychiatrist?
Yeah, he charged me $300 a session.
Well, that's steep. Who is this doctor?
Like the guy who invented it, the same name.
Sigmund Freud?
Almost, Dr. Sigmund Freud.
I see. Did he help you at least?
Well, I told him that I feel like everybody's ignoring me. So he opened the door and said, next.
So you're visiting me this Sunday?
Well, Mrs. Levinsky, you invited me for some of your famous matzo ball soup. How could I resist?
Okay, so when you get to the front door, ring the doorbell with your elbow.
With my elbow?
Yeah.
Why my elbow?
What, you're coming empty-handed?
Shmendrik, any advice today for young people out there who might be thinking about getting married?
Yeah, well, I recommend a long engagement.
Why?
It shortens the marriage.
Were things always so bad for you and your wife?
Well, we were happy for 20 years. Then we met each other. Hey, Trillo, do you think you'll ever get married again?
I don't know. I still want to sow some wild oats.
At your age, you don't have wild oats. You have shredded wheat. Hey, Trillo, yesterday, my wife ran off with my best friend, Shloimi.
Since when is Shloimi your best friend?
Since yesterday. But I'm afraid she's gonna come back. She always does.
A lady came to our office because she was getting anonymous death threats.
We wanted to get on the case right away, but first we walked her home.
On the way, we passed an alley where we saw a guy lying unconscious on the ground, badly beaten up.
Now, our client was a social worker, so it didn't surprise us when she said, "Oh my God, whoever did this needs help."